My friends on the dais, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I must congratulate Pradeep and his team in cyber media, because I think that my introduction to the world of technology has very close association with cyber media. I was just asking Pradeep, and he said this is almost the 16th or 17th edition of the Voice and Data Awards. It has certainly grown in stature. I think today it is one of the central awards that are being given for excellence in this area. And therefore, first of all, I think all of us have to give Voice and Data, Pradeep and his team, a big hand. Second, let me congratulate all the outstanding winners, and I must use the word outstanding because there is no other word, for the people who were recognized here for their contributions, because these are all really pioneering and extraordinary contributions that have been made. If we look at the fact that the premium award winner today, Mr. Mukesh Ambani and Reliance Jio, they have really scripted a story of one of the most dramatic digital transformations in the world. And if today in India we are enjoying the highest mobile data consumption and the cheapest data tariffs, I think we must all collectively join hands in paying tribute to the vision of Mr. Mukesh Ambani and his team. I must also add that all the other awardees who came here to receive the awards, unfortunately, I joined in a little late, but each of them, I think, I have to say here that given the kind of hyper-competitive landscape that India represents, given the kind of difficulties, because nobody can say that India is an easy market. India is a tough market with tough, demanding customers, very price sensitive, very product sensitive. And in this market, if people have been able to make such outstanding contributions, again, let me thank Voice and Data for bringing out their contributions so that we can recognize them for what they are. Before I respond to the various questions that were mentioned by the panelists, let me say 2 or 3 things. I just had the opportunity of listening to one of the world's leaders in wireless technology, Professor Paul Raj, who is an Indian, one of the most eminent Indians in this field. And he is the one who is the original inventor of MIMO technology, and is also only one of 7 people in the world of wireless to be recognized by the US Academy of Sciences, the top scientific body. And he told me something which literally took my breath away, because he started his address to us in the DOT with the words that in the 1850s, India was the most advanced country in the world of telecommunications. Long before any other country had built a telecom network, thanks to Sean Hennessy and his team, India actually had the first and the largest telecom network in the world. And his textbook, I was told on the good authority of Professor Paul Raj, His was the first telecom textbook of its kind in the world. And therefore, while today we must celebrate the absolutely outstanding contributions of India's best and brightest, and we have tall leaders, we have really hungry leaders, we have visionary leaders in the world of technology. We have to reclaim that space, and that is the hunger we must have. And therefore, I'm very gratified to hear from Mr. Matthew Uman the kind of vision that inspires his leader, but also from the others, the kind of vision and the kind of aspirations that they have when they are striving to truly democratize digital for India, because that is the theme on which I'm supposed to speak. It is often said that in India, 3 things bind a country of 1 billion. These 3 things which we celebrate with passion and where we also have outpourings of grief. These are elections, cricket, and Bollywood. And now I think we've added a 4th, and that is the mobile, because that is what binds all of us. And therefore, going forward, it is no longer a question of simple communication. It is no longer a question of a device. The mobile for us represents a vital lifeline. And in the future, it is going to represent a much more vital lifeline, because it is going to be the single device on which we interact socially, on which we interact economically, and possibly on which we interact politically as well. We're already seeing what is happening to the young people. And given the rate at which India is digitizing, in fact, from here, I think many of us are slated to join Mr. Ravi Shankar Prasad as India draws a national roadmap for how we become a $1 trillion digital economy. I think this is a part of nation building, because digital is truly India's technology, because we have more at stakes in this technology than any other country in the world. And the generations that come after us will have more at stake in this technology than anyone else in the world. So let me just, having said that, let me just attempt to address some of the questions that were asked. One is that, we are absolutely committed in the new telecom policy to provide an environment, an enabling environment that will propel significant growth, because we are still at, if we were talking about a marathon, I think we are only at the 100-meter stage in terms of where we could be in digital. And therefore, if we want to run the marathon, we are fully cognizant of the fact that the government needs to provide ease of doing business. We need to make sure that there is an environment for make in India, design in India, create the necessary IPR, and grow the companies that can be technology winners. And I think we are committed to supporting the people who have that vision and who will lead that effort. So whether it is in terms of the spectrum policies for 5G and new technologies, or whether it is in terms of putting in the necessary fiber and simplifying the rights of way, by now I think I have a fair idea of what are the key roadblocks and bottlenecks, and it shall be our earnest endeavor to address as much as possible in the new telecom policy as possible. Where are we on 5G? I think this is important because 5G is going to be at the core of all societal transformation in the future in some way or the other. And therefore, we need to get our act together. And when I say we, I mean all of us together. The industry first, the academia, and the government, all of us need to synchronize and converge our actions and our thought processes so that we can indeed harness the full potential of 5G and the promise that it holds. We had the first meeting of the high-level consortium on 5G just yesterday. We expect that by March 2018, the roadmap and vision will be, full document will become available, and it will have 3 or 4 core building blocks. One, how do we ensure that India becomes an early adopter rather than a late adopter? So how do we facilitate accelerated deployment of 5G? This will have to be driven by the telcos, and government will have to play a supporting role. There's an equally important building block in that India needs to be present in the global fora, whether it is standards, whether it is an IPR. Already work has commenced in this area, but we need to accelerate, we need to deepen those efforts. And most important of all, we must have at least 3 or 4 companies that will be global companies in the areas of technology. And I think, 5G, while it is an unprecedented opportunity, we need to carefully calibrate our steps because, as we know, time waits for no one. And while the window is wide open at the moment, it is a window that continues to close in on us as we move forward. So I am looking forward to interacting very closely with the industry to ensure that this time India is not left behind. And your inputs are going to be very valuable in this context. There was mention here about simplification of the policy, because with consolidation happening, I think a lot of our conventional ideas of circles, etc., will have to be rethought, and certainly we will have to address some of the new realities that emerge and make it simpler for people going forward. I was delighted to see that in one of the emerging companies which won an award in the MVNO category, and I asked him, so you are giving the telcos a run for their money, and he was quick to say, no, we are partners. And I think that is the spirit in which India is a large enough country with large enough business opportunities for various kinds of companies to grow and compete and find success. For us, almost every deficit is an opportunity. And I think if we seize that opportunity, it's clearly a very large opportunity, and there is no need for us to be insecure that someone else is going to take away our business. So I think that is the vision that we hope will inform the companies as they go forward. BharatNet has been making good progress. We expect that by January 1st, 100,000 villages will be on optic fiber broadband and start offering services. BharatNet, as you all know, is a middle mile, and the last mile, of course, will have to be the telcos who will be offering services. I'm glad to say that all of them have been very enthusiastic, have come forward to take the middle mile of BharatNet to deliver services. And therefore, while we have already started seeing the large upsurge in mobile data demand, with India rapidly rising to the top of the curve, as was mentioned here, India is today the largest mobile data consumption company, but we expect that wired broadband will also start growing significantly, and the year of 2018 will begin the growth of wired broadband as well, as we put in more and more fiber and we have the smart cities coming up. There was a question about the revenues of, 1/3 of the revenues coming in from non-telcos. I think in that sense, it is a kind of watershed moment that we are at, and how the future will play out, what kinds of partnerships will be struck, what kinds of services will come together, what kind of business models will come together. I think these are all exciting questions, and the fact that it's completely greenfield is something that makes this space very exciting to watch. So the moves that will be made by the key players here is what is going to determine the space. So I think more than regulatory arbitrage, it will not be regulation that will drive it. It will clearly be technology as well as business innovation that is going to drive that. And that is how we would like to keep it as well from the side of the government. And lastly, there was one question on BSNL. As the primary shareholder, DOT is delighted to see that BSNL has won a number of awards. Somebody said 50% of the awards. I'll be delighted if it was 50% of the awards, but I think we shouldn't crowd out other talent as well. So I do give my, I would like to compliment BSNL for the good job they are doing, and I hope that they will continue to be aggressive, innovative, and out there. So with these few words, let me just once again say that it's been a great evening. I am delighted to see the energy, the enthusiasm, the vibrancy in this whole sector. I think 2018, augurs well. It's a new look landscape, but I think the landscape is very promising. Thank you.